I could steal oh, the Great Salt Lake.
Welcome to the show. We're here tonight with Jeff Saunders. He is running for the Tooele County Council Seat 3. Jeff, do you reside in Stansbury Park?
Our district is actually North Tooele and part of Erda. So I live in North Tooele, just off 1,000 North there, kind of by Macy's.
Well, we don't need to give out the address for the ladies that are going to fall in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
or chase you down. You have to explain that to your wife after that. Anyways.
Yeah, definitely.
So Jeff is happily our, well, he's not our first Democrat.
He's our second, I think.
Yeah, Brenda.
We had Brenda on.
Yeah, Brenda, she was a Democrat. She come on.
She's running again. She's running for the Stansbury Lake Point seat this time as well.
Very good.
I
very
like
nice lady. Liked her a lot. Have her back on anytime. Well, Jeff, what's I don't know, give us a little bit of your ideas on when you get elected. What do you want to make happen?
Well, just mainly I mean, I'm not really huge into the parties. You know, I'm a pretty independent thinker, and what I just want to do is serve the people. It seems like in the county, like with some of the commissioners that we've had, it seems like a lot's been dictated to the people. You know, this is what you really want, right? You know, this is what you don't really want to do this, or you don't want to do that, right? Where the government's kind of, and I don't know if it's just because the Republicans are so powerful here that they know they're always going to win, so they kind of have like a longer leash in political matters, because they're not really threatened by Democrats in this county, because a lot of people just won't vote for us because we are Democrats. But my goal is I want to be everybody's councilman. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Libertarian, Communist, or Independent, moderate. I mean, I'm going to represent everybody.
Yeah, I hear you there. It does seem like, and I'm not trying to talk bad about the county commission, but they seem like a country club county commission. It's
like if you get the Republican nomination, you're a shoo-in, right? So there could only be a couple people running, and then they know one of them's going to win. So they can
you're not really fighting for a Republican nomination. You're fighting for a nomination from the in-house county commissioners.
Mm-hmm. As long as you have a certain, I don't know if there's like special interest in the county, but there's a group that are pretty politically active, like the Realtor PAC. Our PAC is pretty powerful out here. They have a lot of money. All the developers that are supported by the Republicans. I mean, we need some challenge to this Republican supermajority. That's the only way we can really keep it in check, and the only legitimate, I guess, quote unquote, legitimate party. I mean, the Green and the Libertarians are still pretty small, and being a Libertarian running for office is kind of an oxymoron, right? You don't really believe in government, you know?
There you go. Yeah.
So, I mean, being a Democrat, I mean, I'm a good LDS man, and, you know, I have a lot of things that I'm conservative about, but I have some things that I'm, you know, more open-minded about. You know, like the things that Tooele County voted for with the propositions. We voted for like Medicaid expansion, you know, giving poor workers like more access to, you know, affordable health care with Medicaid. We voted for medical marijuana, but of course the state legislature takes these and adds all these conditions because they're all Republicans and they know they're not threatened by the Democrat candidates. And so they can make you apply for 48 jobs in 3 months to get this Medicaid insurance, and they can make the most restrictive medical marijuana policies in the nation because there's no threat, you know, of a Democrat really taking a lot of the spots there in the Congress. So my goal in running is just to, you know, I'll probably lose, to tell you the truth, but, you know, just being honest. But I just want to bring ideas out and just kind of open people's eyes to the different sides of the coin. And my goal is to build up. I'm working with the county Democrat Party. I'm trying to make the party stronger and get more people to register Democrat and run as Democrats so we can have that balance in politics instead of just having the one voice, the Republican voice. We can have like more voices on the spectrum, because that's the way politics is designed. Is you have different ideas and then compromise. You put them together for the good of both sides. But in the national dynamic here, it's like I win, you lose, right? But the way that our country was founded, being a history teacher, I teach a lot about government, the Constitution, and all those things. And the way it was started was, like, hey, I have ideas, you have ideas, but we're going to put them together. I'm going to give up some and get some, just for the common good. Like, we need to compromise and work together for the benefit of our people. And that's what I want to do in the county.
It wasn't designed to be a party system.
Yeah, George Washington actually didn't want us to have political parties, but Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson were huge rivals. And so they decided to consolidate their powers to start political parties and kind of divide up the representatives in government among those two parties. But I mean, George Washington saw what was happening in England with the Whigs and the Tories and how they weren't really getting much done and they were just fighting. And he said, so just being like independent, be nice if we just got rid of the party system and just had people run as independents and not like, oh, I'm voting for this guy because he's a Democrat, or I'm voting for him because he's a Republican, right? But I'm just voting for the best person for the job that I feel is going to, it's going to back me up and represent me, because that's what I want to do, is just give the people a voice. I don't want to tell them what's going to happen in the county. I want to tell the council and the manager what the people want, right?
Yeah, that was an extreme oversight when they set up the when they wrote the Constitution. I think they did a lot of great things, but whereas Jefferson and at times they bounced from side to side, but the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists started up. They I think they neglected leaving party politics out, or maybe.
Well, the big conflict was like, should we have powerful states or a powerful national government? So that's kind of where the two parties started, right?
They wanted federalism, but
yeah,
that's been thrown out the window. So federalism's gone. So now we got these super majority parties where if we had federalism, you could have different parties throughout the states. I mean, parties that New York could have two different parties, had different names that didn't reflect even as close as Connecticut's two parties. And then the different states would go and argue their ideas on a broader national level. But federalism kind of got shut down shortly after. So
just about power. That's what the parties are about, just like
you're right,
getting their candidates elected and control. Whereas we should, in my dream, if I had a dream that came true, it would be like, let's just get rid of the parties and have everybody run with their own money and just get their name out there and talk to people, and you can vote for the person instead of the party, right?
Yeah. My dream is to make it so that the only politics that matter are your local politics. I would make it so.
Strip down the national government a little bit. I mean, we're still going to need defense, right?
Oh, you got defense, but like the initial was the people voted for a congressman that they sent east. They didn't vote for the senator. That's the state's job. So the state back east. And then you had honored delegates that voted for the president. And so the people didn't get into these bickering arguments over who the commander in chief is or the senator. They just concerned themselves with who their congressman was, their control of the purse. And then the state designed control of the laws, and then delegates designed control of the military and the executive. But that had to be gotten rid of to, honestly, I think it was to gain strength for the two parties, because every time it was a party that pushed that forward and the other party saw the value of it.
Yeah, in my opinion, I mean, a lot of it was just the greed of the Gilded Age in the 1800s, where capitalism was working for the 1%, the business owners. There were a lot of people working long hours in unsafe conditions, so the government had to step in and give minimum wage and 8-hour days.
Well, if you look into the minimum wage, the birth of the minimum wage was very prejudiced. It was set up by whites who didn't want blacks to carry any jobs in Washington, D.C. and that's your first minimum wage setup. And it's open and it's out there. They wanted to out compete the newly freed slaves. They wanted to out compete them through what other people would pay for them. And so they'd climb it up until people wouldn't pay that wage to newly freed slaves. And it was a union job right off the start.
I never thought about that, but that makes
Well, it's
a lot of
just
sense.
it's just historical truth. It's just what happened.
And we do the same thing for, like now, illegal immigrants or something like that. I mean, you'd have to be illegal to get someone without a minimum wage requirement.
Yeah.
So
anyway, so we've gotten off track. So you're
Like
just,
usual.
I honestly, I want you, so you want to run just to be kind of a people's representative.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just worried about, like everybody is, the growth. I mean, we got the Romney project, the Lakeview project, which is part of the inland port. I guess they're going to build it. The school district had to give up a bunch of their future property tax proceeds so that Josh Romney and his group could put in like the sewer and gutter out there and get
Now,
those
where's
warehouses built.
I haven't heard of this. Where's this at?
It's the northern part of the county. I think it's off Sheep Lane, just north of Erda, out that way, kind of by the airport up there. So they're going to build this huge like industrial business park with like lots of warehouses. So what the plan is since the ports on the Pacific coast don't have a lot of space like in Oakland because they're kind of built around, there's no expansion area.
Yeah,
So
they
what
built
we're
the
gonna do-
city right up against it. Yeah.
Yeah, so what they're doing is going to build an inland port in Utah. And so they'll put all this cargo on the train and then ship it to us, and then they'll store it and then put it on other trains and trucks and then ship it all over the country. So the positive, I guess, for the county is more jobs. And so they keep talking in the paper about how more people will work in the county and not commute. But we have a lot of warehouses already, like Walmart, and Purple, and like Carlisle and stuff like that. And people still, I bet you like 3/4 of our people driving to Salt Lake for those higher paying jobs. And so my fear is, and it's good to have jobs, don't get me wrong, but with the cost of living, how much are these jobs going to pay? And, these warehousing type jobs. And
now the devil's advocate here, wouldn't bringing more jobs out here cause more competition and drive up the wages a little more?
You would think, you'd hope, yeah, but Utah notoriously is pretty low compared to the national average in wages. I mean, I'm all for trying to get higher wages and good jobs, but a lot of people are concerned about the rapid growth out here with like a lot of the housing developments going in. Do we have enough water for the inland port? I guess it's a done deal. Sounds like the commissioners have signed off on this and the school district, so I guess it will be built. But I guess the only thing we could do as a council in the future is to make sure that the infrastructure is in place, that, we have enough fire departments, like fire stations and hydrants and enough water. I mean, that's the big concern I hear about people in this area is that they think there's not enough water. We're pretty dry out here for the rapid growth that's going to occur. Like it's projected, I think in 20 years, we're going to have like 80,000 people or 60,000 people in Tooele City. I think 80,000 in the county.
Yeah.
Jeff.
So we're growing fast.
Yeah, we are growing fast.
Jeff, what's the connection between the Romney Group and the inland port?
I think I'm not sure if they're building the entire inland port, but I read in the paper, it's kind of like a spoke and wheel model where like most of the port will be on the other side of the mountain by the new prison, like off 7200 out that way, kind of by the mine. But in the northern part of the county, we'll have like kind of an addition to that inland port. So we'll have like the Lakeview project will be a bunch of like warehouses, cargo storage and stuff like that. I guess any type of business can relocate out there, but that's what I kind of, based on my limited study, I mean, I read in the paper about it and stuff, but I just think it's going to be like a kind of a staging area for like goods that are going all over the country. So, on the bright side, I guess we could have more jobs. Hopefully they pay well, but it's projected it'll be about $20 an hour, which sounds good, but with the price of housing in our county, going up, and cost of living going up, I don't know if you can really support yourself on $20 an hour. But hopefully the wages will go up.
What's causing the price of housing to go up in our county?
I think it's just a supply and demand issue. Like all the housing in the Salt Lake Valley, we have a lot of new jobs coming to Utah, a lot of high tech type jobs, and so we have a lot of people moving in, but we don't have enough inventory. We don't have enough housing for everybody.
Has
And
the
so,
county,
go
has
ahead.
the county tried to do anything to relieve some of the supply issue, like maybe I don't know, lighten up on regulations drawing people in, or some of the, because I do know that it's expensive before you even cut ground to build a house. There's a huge
Yeah, there's a few projects going on that they like. What's his name? Joe White. Where the new temple's going to go in there in Urda. Like he's been working over there by the motor view. He's going to put in a housing development out there. The church is going to build a housing development, or at least sell the land and have somebody develop around where the new temple's going to go. So there's all these new housing. There's a lot of developers working in our county. You probably noticed a lot of building going on.
Oh yeah.
But just the negative impacts are, the traffic. Do we have enough first responders like policemen? And nobody likes to raise taxes, but do we have enough guys on the road to keep us safe, like county and city? Where's that money going to come from? So we just got a lot of issues in the future as we're growing. We're going to have to keep that infrastructure growing along with the growth. In the past, I don't think they really planned ahead as well. I mean, I'm sure they did what they thought was right, but in my own opinion, I just think it wasn't. It's hard to project growth, I'm sure, but that's my goal if I get elected, just to try to plan ahead. They redid the master plan of the county a couple of years ago, and just trying to prepare for this future growth. But I mean, I just hope we don't have too bad of growing pains out here. On the bright side, maybe we'll get different restaurants besides Mexican restaurants, right? A decent steakhouse, maybe. I hear a lot of people clamoring for a Sizzler, maybe.
Or maybe we could go for at least a southern Mexican restaurant. Let's see what the taste of central Mexico is, because right now we got a lot of northwestern Mexican food.
Well, it looks like restaurants are kind of going out of style. You see the food trucks around lately?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of food trucks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then you got to make it fair, because a lot of restaurants complain that, like, hey, these guys don't have the same overhead, right? So how can we compete? And then I'm sure the food safety department, health department has to inspect them all.
Yeah.
I know. But I don't know. I mean, it's talking to people in Tooele, they're concerned about the growth, but it's going to happen, right? We're going to grow.
Well, you can stop it, but that's only at the death of the city.
Your real estate will go up if you decide to stop the growth. Well, I think they got high density housing plans in place, and there's a lot of contention because we don't know if there's water enough for those high density plans. And if you don't put the high density plans in, then our housing is going to go up, and then the taxes will go up, and then eventually we're just going to price ourselves out of our houses. So it seems like we're damned if we do, damned if we don't, if you ask me.
It's going to happen. Well, the supply and demand on housing is nationwide. It's happening all across the nation, especially a new industry is building. The tech industry is building. That accounts for a lot of your homeless, your non medical issue, non addicted homeless in San Francisco. Not so much in Los Angeles, because those are brought in usually mostly addicted, but in San Francisco, your homeless there is brought up because the housing market left them behind, and they just can't afford anything now. So it is a complicated thing, and I have my own thoughts on it. Of course, my thoughts are let's loosen up government's involvement in building a house and get more supply out there. Whether my answer is the only correct answer or not, I don't know. Or if it even is, I happen to think it is a correct answer. because I know that, what was it, 10 years ago, had a relative built a little house, and just the expense he had to pay before he could cut ground was ridiculous. So that's why you see all these McMansions. No one's going to build $100,000 house when you've got to drop 10 grand before you can even cut ground. That's a 10% loss on your house before you've even touched excavator to ground. So you raise the price of the house you're building to try to recover that 10%. So you build a $250,000 house, therefore it's only a 5%, expenditure to start building the house versus a 10%.
You got to also figure you're probably trying to keep a certain clientele out of that area as well.
That's where areas build to charge. But even like this neighborhood's not an exclusive neighborhood. You're not going to find a new house built here for less than $250,000.
No, you're not.
You probably won't find one for less than $300,000 next year. Just because of that cost, that the barrier to entry through regulatory cost.
And Jeff, what's your opinion about the water shortages here in Tooele? And is there any plan that you would be able to propose that might be able to alleviate them in the future if you were elected?
I really don't know. I know that water has been a concern. I ran for city council a couple times the last couple of years for Tooele City. And I went and I talked to the, what's his name, Steve down there in the Public Works Department.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't really give me a straight answer about the water. And so it just made me think that the water is an issue. Like in the summertime, we've got, I don't know how many wells we have, but some of them are like dry. You know what I'm saying? So they need to be dug deeper. And I don't know. I mean, it's hard with the bigger businesses we bring in. I mean, each huge warehouse demands a lot of water, and each house demands a lot of water. I mean, you can't really make water. Hopefully, you get good winters, But I don't really know what the solution is. Hopefully, we can slow down the growth, or at least get good winters to keep up with it. But I'm sure the cities and the counties also have a plan in place. I just need to do a little more research about that.
Is there any thoughts on maybe cutting a new reservoir somewhere to catch some?
I don't know if you can. I mean, if we could, I'm all for it. But I know that people own the water, right? So there's water rights.
Mm-hmm.
You got to buy these, and so we'd have to see what we could do to create more water. But we just got to kind of rely on good winters, charging our aquifer. So we have an aquifer that we get our water from. And hopefully we get some good winters. The last couple winters have been pretty good. So hopefully we keep that up and get some good snow and fill that thing up. And hopefully we'll have enough.
Yeah, a bad winter would really would hurt us bad.
What about zoning laws for xeriscaping? I mean, I know I've heard some ideas where like new properties that are going in would be legally obligated to xeriscape. Have you thought about that angle?
I mean, I'm not a big fan of government. Well, I mean, being a Democrat, you'd think I'd be a big fan of government telling people what to do. But
their support.
I think people should be able to decide for themselves. I mean, I'm all for it. Maybe we can give some incentive. Maybe we could, give them some sort of property tax rebate if desert landscape. I think it looks kind of cool if done right, but I'm sure, I have 5 kids, and we like having grass for the kids to play on too. So I'm sure maybe like the front yard, we can do the desert scape, in the backyard. But it seems like a lot of people around here have issues with putting in their yards and keeping up the yards. So maybe if they do the desert rock landscape, then it'd be easier to maintain, right?
So are you talking about the natural sagebrush that a house is?
Yeah. Like in my neighborhood, I guess we have ordinances where you're supposed to keep up your yard, but nobody likes the ticket, like the fix-it ticket. But we just need to take pride in our yards, and maybe this will be a chance for them to, hey, I could save on my taxes and make my yard look better, and I can save water at the same time.
Well, either
I
way,
think we need to do like a carrot and a stick. Let's like
there's definitely going to be
reward these people.
there's definitely going to be a stick when the water prices go up. So,
Yeah, and our water is actually pretty cheap, even though people complain about the price. But
oh, is
I've
it?
had it worse. I lived in Ogden City before, and it was like a little more. It was like $80-$90 a month up there,
Wow.
equal pay. So,
Wow. I don't. Oh, yeah.
and I had secondary water too that I watered my yard with, and that was just culinary, like in my house. It was like the $80. So, could be worse, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I wonder what incentives you could throw, just easy incentives you could throw out for that. You could have a rebate or maybe not a rebate, but a lowering, but the water prices can go up from where they are. That's true.
Or give them a credit. Up in Ogden, we would have like a day where like a couple times a year they would give us trees like that were good for our parking that wouldn't ruin the pipes, and so maybe the city can, you know, give people some trees that aren't too expensive that are nice. And they can,
Yeah. Maybe find
just kind of have that incentive to do something with their yard, like help them out.
maybe have a
Pick up
host
their green waste.
that goes around. Hey, I work for the city here, and I'll do your job at 20% off because your yard looks like that, and I'll help you out. And the city's sponsored me, and have a city sponsor that the city advertises or something. I don't know.
I'm sure there's a lot of ideas, but whatever. I mean, I don't really want everyone to think that I have all the answers, but I mean, I have ideas, but I'm willing to listen to, the people in the district that I would represent and bring that to the county. Seems like Erda is going to become a city, and maybe Lake Point's going to become a city, and so I don't know what the county is going to be in charge of. Just every small community and I guess common area in the county, but it should be interesting to see what happens with Erda and maybe Lake Point in the future, or Stansbury. Maybe Stansbury will incorporate too.
Oh, I just can't imagine Lake Point being a city declared. It's a crazy thought in my head, but good for them. So by trade, you're a teacher. You teach social studies and history and whatnot. What age group do you teach?
I teach mainly ninth grade geography, and then I have a couple like electives for everybody else, like 10 through 12, so high school level.
Good times. Good times. That's probably a fun job, and I would enjoy teaching history, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to politicize it. I just want to cover the core curriculum, and whatever your opinion is, I just want you to be able to support it. Like use evidence. So if somebody has like a different political idea, I'll be like, well, hey, use some evidence.
Well, you
try
don't
not to tell people what to believe or think.
You don't come across extremely political. You really don't. I get the feeling that were you in a heavy Democrat area and there was a underdog Republican, that'd probably be the ticket you'd be on there. Because you sound like you're just seeking to improve stuff. You see
I mean, being like in my city council campaigns, I was able to talk about like the police station, how terrible it was, and how we needed a new one, and they built it. And I talked about the parks and how run down they were, and now they're improving them. So I mean, I'm all about trying to do what's good for the community and bring ideas. I'm not going to run on. I'm only been in this community for like 6 years, so I can't say like my great grandpappy was like a handcart pioneer who settled Tooele, and I'm one of the 4 families that started the place, right? So I don't really have that. I'm not well known, but I'm trying just to bring out ideas. Even if I lose, my goal is to impact the community and bring ideas to the forefront. I'm trying to win, but it's a long haul. As a Democrat, I'm going to have to hit every single door in the district and talk to people and introduce myself.
We are gaining Democrats out here, so
yeah, we have a lot of people moving from California, and You know,
Yeah.
people can't afford Salt Lake, so they move out here, right?
And there's younger kids.
Transplants like me that I grew up in the Seattle area. Um, so yeah, I've been in Utah about 20 years, but I went to college. That's how I got here. My dad was from Utah, and I have family, like extended family here. But
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Weber State up in Ogden,
Okay.
and met my wife, and we got married. And she's from Ogden, so we lived up there. That's where I taught first, and then I needed to change. So I've been in the district, Tooele district, for about 7 years now. So good times.
Hey Jeff,
Yeah.
do you watch the county commission videos online?
Sometimes I do. I mean, I mainly follow the meetings in the paper, but sometimes I'll watch the live stream.
Have you seen the one where they're debating? So they got a contract to do the windows. It's a very large contract. They want to redo the windows in the commission building, the county commissioners building. And I think the average, it's around like $200,000 ish. And have you seen that one? And they're debating who to give the contract to.
I haven't seen that one, no.
Well, the debate goes like this. So we have a local company called Phil's Glass, and they were about $4,000 ahead of the competition. But they're local here in the county.
$4,000 higher.
Right. So there was some debate back and forth between the commissioners, like, should we give it to Phil's Glass because they're a local company and it's only $4,000? And I suppose you could somehow maybe calculate what the county taxes would have been on that, because we keep that in the algorithm, and we have that for ourselves. But you know, it's still a contract, and there was debate, like, we should give it to the lowest bidder. No, we should give it to the local bidder who's not that much higher. What would your opinion be on that kind of a scenario, if I may ask?
You know, we need to support local businesses, but we also need local businesses to work with us too. I mean, it's a two-way street, right? And you know, maybe a smaller company. I don't know what size the lower bid was, if it was a huge company or a small company. I mean, I want to support local businesses, but I also don't like the attitude some small businesses have, where you have to shop here because it's our community, right? Well, it's your job as a business to give me good service and to advertise, have an inviting, you know, space for me to come to. So, I mean, it's a two-way street, and I want to help local business. Don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-local business. So I guess I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, I would want to work with Phil, but at $4,000, could Phil, like, you know, work with us a little bit, maybe get it down to 2 or something, or closer, or could he like match the price? Because I mean, nobody wants to pay any more taxes than they want to, and I'd like to save money. Like, I started out in this community as a part-time janitor for the county, so I would work at night cleaning the county building. So that's part of my story, is the rags to riches.
Well, you left Tooele, or you left Ogden School District.
Well, I mean, this is only a part-time job. So, like, you know what I'm saying? So it was like at night I was cleaning the county building to try to supplement my teaching salary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's when I started talking to Sean Milne and getting kind of political and speaking with him. And so I'm like, well, hey, I'd like to get involved. But that's my point, is I'd like to save money and try to pay these people, like our hourly employees in the county, as much as we can. Because, I mean, I was getting a 25-cent raise a year, you know, and that's not much. I think I started out at $11 an hour, you know. So if we can save any money and give it to our workers and help them with their benefits and improve their hourly wages, I'm all for that.
Well, I would like to see, well, how many county seats are there? He told us the other night.
There's going to be 5 total for the new government.
Yeah, there's 3 up in this election, and then there's 2 that will be up in 2 years.
I'll be honest, I'd like to see a Democrat gain one of them, at least, just to have that argument when they meet up.
Yeah, I mean, we are, like, I think 30 to 40% of the population registered Democrats.
But that,
So, I mean, the law of averages, that's 20%, right? One of the 5 seats would be 20% of the county.
could be, but then again, you've got to look at your percentage mostly falls in that age range of probably 18 to 28.
Got to get out the vote, man. Got to excite them, I guess.
Yeah, you've got to get those guys to, you know, put down the Xbox controller, leave the bar, whatever they're doing, leave the vape shop, and go down.
Maybe have a meet and greet at a Mexican restaurant. Free tacos. Come in and meet
That'd be
Saunders,
Hey, Jeff, are the kids you teach? I mean, I remember when I was in ninth grade, I didn't have a political opinion.
No.
Did you? Do they have those nowadays?
Mainly kids are going to echo their parents. I mean, if their parents are conservative, they'll probably be conservative, or if they're liberal, they'll be liberal. Or most of them don't know. And so what I do as a teacher in my current issues class, which is like just a news, like what's happening today class, is I do a kind of like an election unit, and I have them take a political party's quiz and have them go through all the issues and where they stand on them and how important it is to them. And what we see is most of us are in the middle, and some kids are more liberal because they care about people.
Well, they're
helping
young.
people.
They haven't.
And some are more conservative. So I mean, you get a wide spectrum. And so I just do that to kind of open up your eyes, like, hey, not everybody in Utah is like ultra conservative, right? Or
I really don't want. I would like to not teach kids anything about our political parties and see if new ones come out and tear what we have down.
I mean, that's like my dream of being an independent. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess I could have ran as an independent, but the Democrat Party really needed someone to run, and I was helping them. Because this whole impeachment thing, I don't want to get into that because I'm sure you guys all have really hot opinions about that. But in my viewpoint, it kind of just really disgusted me, and you guys probably discussed it in a different way. But that's what kind of got me more active. And then I started working on the Pete Buttigieg campaign in the county, and then he dropped out. But he kind of inspired me because he was one that wanted to work with Republicans and independents and Democrats, represent everybody, not just one political party. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in this county, is just that inclusive message.
Looking at it, I didn't have Buttigieg didn't make me revile. Well, okay, I should say none of the Democrats really reviled me. I don't like Warren, because I think she's just jumping on a bandwagon. She just wants power. So she copied Bernie Sanders stuff and just added more to it every time. That's all she did. Bernie Sanders, I like his gumption. I mean, has a heart attack, stops running for 17, 18 minutes, and then right back at it. The guy's old. He's tough. He can't lift his head above his shoulders. I mean, I dig the guy. His ideas are just terrible. But my honest opinion, the president doesn't matter. Throw him in, throw whoever in there. The president doesn't and should not matter. That
should be the Congress. The Congress really should run the country.
The Senate is the most important. The Senate's your most important people. That's why they get 6 years. They're the most important. They're the ones that sit in the back quietly and actually look at what's going on. The Congress are the ones that get the people riled up for support. The president is only supposed to, he's the executive. He's supposed to execute what the others tell him to do. But we've broken that. We've made it to where he's all important. He's the big, Super Bowl game. So we got to fight over that. That's the most important one. When I'm never going to talk to any of them, not personally.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes to people aren't really educated about politics, and they don't know who their representatives are and how it works. And so if you don't know who your local representative is, if you don't know that Chris Stewart is your representative, the only one you really know is the president, and that's who you're going to blame for everything and look to for all the answers, right? So I guess it's up to people like me to educate kids about the Constitution and how local, state, and national government work,
Have your students write a letter to their congressman, and it doesn't have to be a letter challenging them on anything, but write a letter saying, hey, this is so-and-such kid from Mr. Saunders' social studies class, and, whatever. If they want to argue about something, let them argue.
I did that in 5th grade.
And that's something that lets them know there's a congressman you can write. You can write them.
Yeah, I've done that before, and it was actually a good experience. Like a couple of my students got letters back from Rob Bishop. I was in the first district at the time when I was up in Ogden.
Good.
And I've written Mike Lee. Mike Lee's always good at responding.
I like Mike Lee. I think
Chris Stewart doesn't really like my stuff, but I'm not a big Chris Stewart fan, so I would just be like, quit being Trump's lapdog and stuff like that. Right? He's really a vocal supporter of the president, and it's weird that he started out being like afraid of the president.
My thoughts on
Mussolini, So
my thoughts on Trump is I don't like Trump when he lost me completely when he wrote that bump stock ban. And it's not because of bump stocks, because I don't care about those. I don't like laws being written from that desk. I think that's unconstitutional. That's antithetical to what we stand for. That's not how it's supposed to work. There was no debate, no argument, no recompense for those who own such items. So it's not like they did a buyback. It was just like, today you're legal, tomorrow you can go to jail. That's ridiculous to me. But what I do like about Trump, I like that I like when he flops up when he's talking. I like that he's on Twitter and going off, because to me, he's poking holes in the idea that the president is not a man. Is not just another person that wakes up, that uses the bathroom, that does all those things like every other man does. And I like that he's poking holes in that. He's pulling the veil back. And we've needed that. We've needed that for a long time, because people deify these flawed human beings, and it's just wrong.
Obama had the chance to do that. I really was hoping he would go that far.
Yep.
But I don't know.
He went out.
He did. I mean,
I think he
had the
spoke.
opportunity.
He spoke to become president. He didn't speak what he was going to do. He did what he was going to do.
Well, people were going to follow that guy, and
they would have.
And
yeah,
they would have if he would have spoke up for America and not cowed down to party politics.
Yeah,
I think that's what I like about Trump is the Republicans hated him.
Well,
the Democrats hated him.
He busted a hole he busted a hole in the Republican Party. They're still wobbly, wondering where they stand.
I like that Rand Paul guy, but
now the Democrats have a much stronger party. They're older, they're stronger, they've been through more trials, and it shows, because anybody that steps up to try to bust a hole in them, they shut them down. Tulsi Gabbard stepped up, not a chance.
No, she
Bernie
has a lot
steps
of potential
up,
too.
not a chance. They're a stronger party.
I think if Tulsi Gabbard got the Democratic election, it would have made this a very interesting future. But I just don't see Biden making it very interesting.
I can't wait for the debates. Dementia and curse words. That's all we're going to see. This is going to be the funnest debate you'll ever watch in your life.
Yeah, I'm not a big Biden fan, but
hey, now
we'll see what happens.
All the stuff that everyone's saying about Biden being this, I mean, he's corrupt, but everyone there is corrupt. I mean, that's just what it is. If you're gonna cross to that end of the continent, you're corrupt. But
so what do you guys think are the big issues facing our county then, if we're talking about the county level?
The county.
That's what I want to learn is what people think about the county and what's been going on.
The water, I think, I don't think the water's a general big issue, but it's on that verge where one dry year and it's going to be a big issue. Now, it makes me wonder, if more housing comes in, will more agriculture leave? I grew up in Grantsville, and I've watched agriculture leave quite a few times. Kids I went to school with that took over family farms, and we're talking big farms that spread all over the county. They sold and went up to Idaho. Why they did, they all had their different reasons, but they sold and left for Idaho. And now their farms are housing developments. I don't know what the difference between agriculture and domestic housing is on water use. I do know water preparation, it's probably a big difference, though.
Yeah, I think for county government, we got to have our candidates state, hey, how fast do we want to grow? Like some want the high density housing right now. Others want it to grow slowly. Another thing is, what are we going to do about the water? Are we going to zero scape lands? Are we going to do a closed water loop system where we can start reusing our gray water and purifying it into drinking water? Are we? Those are the big questions I want people to give when they're stepping up for office, and I want them to be direct. I don't want them to dance around it. I'd like them to address the issue about public transportation to Salt Lake City from from Tooele. I think we have a huge disconnect from Tooele to Salt Lake City. I mean, if you've ever taken the bus, I've taken the bus quite a bit, and it's a pain in the butt to get to the airport. We have to take 2 different buses to get to the airport, and we don't have a bus on the weekends. And maybe that's not a county level issue, but somehow we have to make it.
How full is the bus? Because I'm sure that's a UTA.
Yeah, it is a UTA thing. However, I really think that really influences traffic. Somehow we got to get people using those buses, and we got to get a regular schedule.
Well, there might be other ways to do that, such as getting businesses on board and the local businesses giving an incentive for people to ride the bus.
Well, they say if we can save just one life, how many lives have we lost on 36 already? I mean, people are dying on that road left and right, and they're worried about guns. I mean, that road kills more people than guns in this area, from my perspective. So,
well, it does kill more people than guns, but
kills a lot more people than guns.
You don't have big gun problems in armed counties, though. Gun problems that happen in unarmed counties, but that's just But anyways, now I've watched a few things on this inland port. I was listening to one where Milne was talking. I think it was Milne and Stewart were talking on there. And Milne brought up the point of guiding where the port populates, guiding it, they can guide it to other counties. And I would like to see them guide businesses out here. However the way he was talking, he was making it sound like the county would build the structure and the spur and then hope it gets filled, or give a tax incentive. But, maybe if we get the spurs in, maybe, the railroad spurs, maybe more businesses will come out. Maybe that'll bring more prosperity to the county.
It could.
And I wonder, I don't know, how much control would the county council have on that?
I'm not sure how it's going to work. My fear is with this structure, how we have a full-time administrator and then a part-time council. I'm just afraid that maybe people will get lazy as councilmen and just kind of listen to the manager and have them tell the council what to do. And so if I get elected, I'm going to make sure to do all my homework and have a good relationship with the other councilmen and also the manager. But I just don't want to get all my information from the manager. You know what I'm saying? Give them too much power. I mean, I think the reason why they changed the government was because of the big raise that the commissioners gave themselves, right?
Well, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm sure he's happy like the rest.
They wanted to separate the checks and balances, right?
Yeah.
Like, because they can vote for the raise for themselves. You guys there? I think I lost you.
Yeah, we can still hear you. We just lost video. Can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, my AirPod just died, so I'm switching AirPods here.
Let's take a minute for an obscene profit break.
Hello, America. In support of keeping America great, Beck's Coin Minting is happy to introduce its Re-elect Trump 2020 Proof-Like Silver Round. Crafted from 1 troy ounce of .99 fine silver, manufactured right here in the USA. This coin has a limited mintage of 10,000. and each coin is numbered and has a corresponding certificate of authenticity. Beautifully packaged in a royal blue velveteen box with silver trim inside a protective coin capsule. Get yours now at BexSilverCoinsales.com. That's BEX silvercoinsales.com. And all you listeners can get 10% off our store price by entering listeners in the promo code box. Thank you all for keeping America great, and God bless America.
Yeah, I could see
Oh, there,
it.
I got you.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, I'm just afraid, like with Tooele City, it seems like the mayor kind of controlled everything a little too much under Dunleavy, and maybe
Hmm.
he wasn't communicating everything to the rest of the city council.
Yeah,
So they kind of ran everything to the ground, and then they had that huge tax increase. And so that's something I just want to
he
avoid in the future in the county.
he made a couple of errors that cost the county a lot, or that cost the city a lot of money.
Yeah, all those lawsuits, right?
Yeah, lawsuits because, well, one day I ought to have my dad on to tell the story because my dad tells it the best. But you know, if the word golf course was mentioned, he signed it in and then worried about the details later, I guess.
Yeah, so I just want to avoid that with the council. Like instead, and we're gonna have a professional manager who will run most of the county. I'm just afraid some people will just rely on that manager for all their information. I just want people to know that I do my own work, my own research, and I mean I'll listen to the manager's recommendations, of course, but I still want to listen to the people and form my own opinions and just be an independent voice. You know what I'm saying?
Someone who does their homework.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just shows up and kisses a few babies and collects 30 grand, right, for a part-time job.
Is that what they're going to pay the commissioners 30 grand each now for the?
I'm not really sure on the figures, but that's what I heard is somewhere around like mid-20s to 30,000.
And right now,
So I think
what do the full-time commissioners make? Do you know?
they make like 89, somewhere around there, like top, like high 80s. What the three commissioners make.
I've got another question. According to another show we had, now Tom Tripp came on and talked about the the push to bring refugees out here, and his side was the kind of the corporate side of the drive. You're kind of
The labor, right?
the old school Republican side, bring them in so we can hire them, fill job gaps and everything else. And I'm not anti-bring. I'm just anti-government taking money from me to do stuff all the time, you know. Whereas he talked about, just to go back a real quick summary, I guess, is he talked about when he brought, or when the old smelter brought refugees in, or brought people from other nations in to work at the smelter because they couldn't get local people to work at the smelter. They wouldn't work there. Part of that, on my further research, is they brought them in as kind of strike busters. My concern is they bring them in, they fill these job openings, and then they drive the natural wages, probably not drive them down, but leave them at a standstill for a long time. I'm not anti them bringing them in, and I like that they've got support with both the Catholic Church is in on it, the LDS Church, and all that. I like that a lot of the support is coming from private industry, but I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, and what would you do to manage that?
I mean, there are war-torn parts of the world where people need a safe place to live, and I've had jobs. You know, being a teacher, you always have to moonlight, and I've had jobs where I had a child soldier from Sudan who escaped Ethiopia and came to America. You know, so I'm all about immigration and giving people a chance with the American dream. But yeah, I mean, all throughout our history and our nation, it's always depressed wages. You know, like companies don't want to pay a high wage, and so they want a more affordable labor, and so they advertise, get like in the 1800s, they'd advertise in Europe to bring people to America. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for it, whatever, capitalism, and my goal is just to try to increase wages. Utah has pretty low wages compared to the national average, and
How
and
is it compared?
I've heard people say, they can't find people for jobs, but if you paid them better, you would find people for that job.
Or just make a better environment? There's
Yeah, I mean,
out
as
west,
long as the culture of your place is good, maybe you would accept a little less. I mean, if you like the people you work with, or you like what you did,
there's a
like the
place,
hours of the
there's a
fringe
place
benefits.
out west that pays a lot, but people don't want to work there because it's a rough place to work.
Yeah.
Hand me the yard sale, the blue one. Yeah, so I understand that, and he specifically mentioned that place, and I've had a lot of buddies that work there, and I've been out there before, but it's not a place. It's a place I've avoided working in my adult life.
Because you like
Are you
your
talking about? Am I allowed to say their name?
Oh, sure.
Is it the radioactive place? That
No,
place?
no, that place doesn't pay very well. No, I'm talking about
U.S. Mag then?
Yeah,
Okay. So that's Tom Tripp where he works, right?
yeah, and he said they've got like 50 jobs they need filled out there, and they can fill them with that. And that just got me to thinking where U.S. Mag is one of the highest paid non-educated places, non-specialized places you can work in the county. If they fill those 50 jobs with refugees, and then say next year don't give a substantial raise, so people leave, and then more refugees come in, eventually it goes stagnant.
it'll have a ripple effect throughout the economy somehow.
And then it'll hit. I work out at Cargill, and then when Cargill goes for its annual adjustment, when they take the county survey, they like to pay us in the 75 percentile, where MagCorp commonly sits in the 80th. Well, suddenly the 80th percentile just got a little lower, and that drives the 75th percentile down. And then Detroit Diesel does the same thing. They usually hit around the 60th percentile. That drives Detroit Diesel down. And, you see what I'm saying? It hits everywhere because everywhere runs off the same schedule, the same kind of.
Are you guys allowed to bargain, like collectively bargain? I know Utah's kind of a right to work state.
Yeah, dude, we could argue all we want. It won't do anything.
Then they'll just hire refugees.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why not? I mean, if I was a business, that's what I would do is petition to have people from other countries come in and fill those slots and leave you guys trying to figure things out.
Because historically, I mean, the workers would unionize, right? And they would work together, and eventually that's how they got higher wages and better hours and better conditions. But with the right to work for less state like Utah, right, where they're
in some places, but all this high wage and your 5-day work week, that wasn't started by unions. That was started by Henry Ford. He started that without union pressure, without any of that. He started that by himself, and the unions went to argue other organizations to match what he was giving his employees. So the private market initiates most of this. It's the, after the fact.
Yeah, but Ford also had crazy conditions on his workers, like he couldn't drink and had to go to bed at a certain time. And so, I mean, there was like a lot of liberty that you'd have to give up to work for Ford. But yeah, I mean, if U.S. Mag wanted to do something like that, I'm all for it. I want to pay my people the best so I get the best worker. I mean, that's what we hear about in capitalism. Like if you want the best, pay the best, right? You have the best ranked companies, but there's a lot of greed though at the top, and
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I don't have all the answers. Just a lot of theory and opinion, I guess.
Well, how about yeah, that's true. And most of that would be done outside of your purview as even a county council, I think, where the housing.
I could talk to the companies, but I couldn't enforce anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we need good paying jobs in our community.
You would be able to dictate, though, how many refugees came in as a council, I think. So if the state was going to bring in 11,000 as the number, the governor wants to bring in 11,000 refugees. Tooele County wants to step up and say, yes, we want refugees here out of that pool. I guess here's a good question for you. It's a very direct question. What number of that 11,000 would you be willing to take in here to Tooele?
I mean, I don't really know how many I would take, but I would, just try to do our part, our fair share, and talk to the businesses. But I mean, it's up to them. All in all, I'd like to think that we would be able to have them live somewhere if they work here. So hopefully they would have decent wages. But even rent out here in Tooele County is pretty crazy, for what people make. And, so I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is with that. Like I said, I don't know all the answers, but I would, support business and try to get them to be good to their workers and get them a decent wage. But that's what I'm really concerned about, is just like I work 2 jobs, almost 2 full-time jobs, with teaching full-time and then teaching online part-time, like 29 hours a week. And I'm barely able to make it. My wife stays home with our kids. She only works a couple hours a week, but I mean, I'm barely making it. So I'm like, how do people who make less than I do? Because I mean, I'm a 15-year teacher, so I'm making like mid 60,000s. So I'm like, that's, to some people that's a lot of money, right? But we're still kind of barely surviving. So we just got to do something to help people out, or get some sort of affordable housing, like people living in van communities. Like, you ever follow those groups on like Facebook or Instagram, where people are converting vans into like homes and
I've
campers,
looked
or
at a few of that. It looks like something
tiny homes or whatever.
I have a friend who lives in his van,
Yeah.
and he's one of my Bitcoin customers, and he's trying to avoid all the whole government scene and stuff. He gets chased out of locations, so he has a hard
If
time.
we had like RV parks or something for that, I don't know, but land is so valuable. It's hard to give up land for things like that. You know what I'm saying? But maybe businesses at night could sell or rent out stalls. That's what I hear some of the big cities doing. But
Yeah,
I don't want
stalls
to live in there. I mean, just give people more options. Mobile homes are more affordable, but it seems like people don't want mobile home parks around their communities, right?
It is tough, especially I feel for teachers, because they go to college to and en route to that, most of them incur college, the student loan debt, and then the wages they make as teachers. I don't think okay. I don't want to say teachers make too little or too much. That's not for me to judge, but I do think that colleges are ripping off their customers.
Yeah, tuition is too high.
Way too
Tuition's too high. I think the government should have stayed out of it, because when the government went in to back it, that's when colleges started raising tuition and adding in dog shit degrees. If you're getting a degree in any kind of dance theory, you're kind of messing up. You get a student loan to learn how to become a degreed individual in an art form or in any whatever that doesn't have a paycheck at the end of that. Well, you may as well just go right down to Starbucks and skip college. Because
the YouTube University, that's where I learn everything now. Is just
Do you teach on YouTube? Are you like
what's your
private?
What's your
teaching?
online?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. I'm real interested in this online teaching.
Well, I work for a company called Edgenuity, and they contract with school districts and different schools all over the country. So I have licenses in Washington and California and Indiana and Michigan. And so these schools will it's kind of like Blue Peak Online.
It's like
our school district, where you could take like math and English and different classes on an online setting instead of an in-class setting. So basically what I do is just oversee classes and grade work and give students feedback, and then eventually they earn a grade. So it's just for kids that maybe be locked up. Like I have some like youth in custody schools where kids, are got in trouble with the law, and so they just do online school. Or if like you have you have to work full time and you can't go to school, then you can do online, that sort of stuff. Or maybe kids don't really fit in the regular high school setting, so they just do online from home or whatever. So it just gives more flexibility to kids, and I think it's cool. It's not for everybody. You got to be pretty self motivated as a kid to do online schooling. But for those that are motivated, it really does work, and you can do it rather quickly. So
I like the design. I think, honestly, taking it that direction is kind of the way it's going to go. It's going to go to online. Even if there's still a school, you can get maybe more specialized instruction where a teacher teaches his class to multiple different schools via the internet. Whereas,
and
say,
still get paid the same, right? For just joking, that's just like an argument. I mean, of course, you want it to be affordable, but you want to pay.
the pay
I
issue.
don't know. The pay issue is always an issue, but we don't go into teaching for the money, I guess. But
Yeah,
be nice to be able to support a family or support yourself, right?
yeah, and honestly, if someone goes and incurs 4 years of debt, 60 whatever isn't enough. That's not
Yeah,
enough.
we actually start out. I think it's around like 45 now.
Okay,
Like
45 isn't enough, and that's
yeah,
where
yeah.
got
So
it.
it's hard.
You've got to make a difference on one side or the other. And I think the side we need to look at making the difference on first is the student loan and education pay side. Because the other side, you've got to try to extract more money from, universal everybody. Where on the one side, you've got maybe the schools could lighten up on their administration costs. Lighten up on that and see what they can bring tuition down to. Lighten up on specialty costs, bring that down. Lighten up on maybe the classes they're requiring people to take that cost them money that do nothing for what that person is trying to achieve in life. Lighten up on some of those things. Let's see where we can get this value down.
I think if we could all just have an internet connection, then we could have online schooling rather than paying for a facility. I mean, they wanted to charge $90 million for a whole new school setup this year. But think about all the online connections and computers we could buy for that money to homeschool, like Jeff is doing, with just organized teachers to teach from home and pay for those internet connections with the taxes rather than building infrastructure that requires pollution of the environment and people to drive on 36 and die. I mean, I think what Jeff is doing right now is the forefront of the future. And I definitely see a lot of cost savings and a lot of benefits in it. And I don't know.
The only problem is that like schooling, online doesn't really work for everybody. Like I said, I mean, we all learn in different ways, and some people just aren't cut out for online. Like I had a daughter who did online driver's ed, and she really struggled with it. She really liked the in-person learning. So as long as we have like all sorts of different options for kids, I think that's what they need. Because some really need that relationship with the teacher.
Yeah.
So that in-person, like, hey, Mr. Saunders cares about me. He's a cool guy. I'm going to work hard for him and build that relationship and, that sort of thing. And some kids are more independent and just want to work online, get it done.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of what the kid wants to do. If a kid's motivated to do something, he's going to do something. He's going to enjoy it.
Or the kid's capabilities,
Yeah, I mean, like, right now, because of the quarantine, we're doing school online, and a lot of my kids aren't really doing much in my classes. So some of them aren't really wired. I don't know if it's just because
now is
on or what's going on, but some of them just struggle with that, being at home and being distracted.
Is our district using Zoom as well?
Yeah. So if you do tutoring, you can use Zoom. Like if you want to meet when I'm with a group of students.
What about for your regular class? Is there
I've just been using YouTube, so I'll like do my lectures on and record them using like Screencastify and then throw it onto my YouTube channel, and then I'll link it to my Canvas website that they log into so they can watch the lessons, and then they can do the work on Canvas. Then I grade it for them and stuff. So I mean,
Not
it's pretty handy, but a lot of the kids like that in person. I mean, you go to school to be with your friends, the social, the sports, the clubs, that's a big important part of education as well. Some kids like it, some kids don't. But
have
so
you
that's what I'm saying. That we need to be flexible,
have you
See,
tried doing any YouTube live classes for your kids?
I haven't tried yet. I'm just kind of dabbling. I just got started a couple days ago, so we'll see what happens. See
I
how long
played
we
with
do
it a little
at
bit.
home.
If there's anything I can do to help, just reach out. I would,
Yeah. So
maybe
YouTube Live, is that just like broadcasting live, like on
It
Facebook
is, yeah.
Live?
It
it
is.
shoots out live, but it does record it so that the kids can access it later too.
So it's like Zoom too, where you have a Zoom meeting, you can record it, and then they could watch the recording. So
You could actually have a YouTube live where you try to get all your students on at the same time, and you could do that like if you have a discussion or something else, or whatever requirement you have, they can get on and they can also comment at the same time. Or if you like, you can have two computers going and a comment section running off the side, and that comment's not filling your screen, so the kids
cool.
can interact back with you. And
Well,
with
that sounds good.
which you'll see that in the comments, they'll pick fights with each other through the comments and just
Start bullying each other. That's where all the heroes are, and is in the
Yeah.
comments, right?
So you'll just have to tell them, if you have a question directed at me, put, Mr. Saunders, humna, and then they can direct them at you, and you can ignore all the rest, or you can go through and get a giggle out of, ninth graders bickering.
Yeah, it's always fun. That's what I like to do, is read articles online and then read the comments, and everybody starts fighting, right?
Yeah, and you could do that live. You could,
Yeah.
bunch it in and jump it up, and I mean, even if it's just a 15-minute number, you put out on the next class, hey, I'd like to get everyone or whoever can show up here at 10 o'clock. And then secret is, make it fun, interactive, respond to them. They may not all show up one week. They may not all show up the next week. But if it's a class that as they interact with each other, they talk about, they will all show up.
Yep. I think that's important, just the interaction. You got to have the kids interact with each other, and of course with the teacher, and relationships is probably one of the big motivating factors in education, building those relationships with each other and with the teacher, and hey, I like these guys, I'm going to try harder or whatever, so that's what I've realized anyway.
I like it. I like it. Well, is there anything, we're about to round this up, but is there anything you want to put out there?
Just, I'm running for office and would love the support of anyone. And even though I am running for the Democrat Party, I still want to be inclusive and represent the independents and the libertarians and the, Republicans and all the Democrats, just anyone. So I just want to keep government accountable. And if we have one party that's in power and they could just pick who runs and who becomes the leaders of our county, I think we need at least two strong parties, if not more, so that we can get, all these ideas out there and keep each other in check. And so that's my goal, is to build up the Democrat Party in this county. It used to be a Democrat county about 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, my family was Democrats about 20 years ago.
And like with the mine and all that stuff. So, I mean,
yeah,
I think
the Democrats were a different party back then, though. So were the Republicans. They had different values, and then the parties have switched values. My honest opinion is the parties come to the table. Whoever speaks first, the other one pounds the table and says you're wrong, and it doesn't matter what either side believed before that. And that's how they argue. That's how they draw their lines. Whoever speaks first, the other side's going to say you're wrong on that point, and then lines drawn, and then people who are party people just jump on the bandwagon. So it doesn't matter what it was yesterday. It matters what my party is today, and that's,
Yeah. And I just want to, I'd rather just get rid of the parties and just try to be a good guy, a good representative of the people, and that's my goal. So I just want to hear what's important. If they want to follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I've got some of my ideas out there, but I just want to, get to know people and what they want and what they see or what they want to see in the county in the next 20 years, even though I'd only be in for like 4 years. But, we got to plan ahead for the future and all this growth. And, what do we want? What's the air quality going to be like for the inland port? Are we going to need emissions testing eventually?
What's your thoughts on that? I've heard a couple arguments. Some people think it'll destroy the air quality, and some people think it'll clean it up if they can draw industry and transportation away from the point of the mountain.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but I'm sure a lot of people will still drive into the Salt Lake Valley, and we'll have a lot of trains, we'll have trucks, bringing in cargo containers or whatever. And the air quality, I've only lived in Utah, well, I should say only, but I've only been here about 20 years, and the air quality's gotten worse every year. But of course, the population has gone up, so you just see that layer of filth against the mountain when you drive into the Salt Lake Valley. So, I mean, it's really bad for our health.
Well, Salt Lake Valley, it had bad air quality all the way back to the days of the pioneers. It's because
part of it's our geography. Yeah,
geography. You've got the pressure coming off the lake. You've got mountains on both sides that block it, and then you've got a natural cataract from Lake Bonneville's draining period and an iceberg moving across it that kind of restricts its movement. So it just gets trapped there. Anything that has a heavier weight than the air around it just hovers. I don't know how we'll clean that up. I mean, empty it out, I guess.
Yeah, more cars, more pollution, more factories, more pollution. I don't know, but I'm worried about our health, the health of the people and my kids. I have little kids and older kids, and I worry about their future with, jobs they could live on, livable wages, affordable housing. And I mean, I don't really want to see a million townhomes in the valley, but, it is more affordable. So we're going to have to try to think of some new housing solutions. But what I really want to do is just represent the people, and hopefully I can get their support, and I can work for solutions that they want. And I'm really good at working with other people and trying to compromise with people from different parties. Of course, I'd have to work with Republicans and independents. I just worry, and when I ran for city council and talked about the issues with the police and raising their pay and getting a new police station, the city was able to address those things. And so I do have a kind of a track record of making positive changes. So, I'm a quick study, and I've been, I study about what's going on in the county, worried about making changes. I write columns in the transcript bulletin about different political issues like education. So just trying to, get ideas out there, and I just want to hear from the people, and hopefully I can earn their support somehow.
Do you have a web page, Jeff?
I don't necessarily have a web page right now. I'm building one, but I've got a Facebook group. I think it's called Jeff for Tooele County 3 or Jeff for Tooele Co 3. And then on Instagram, they can follow me. It's the same handle, like Jeff Tooele Co 3 or Jeff Tooele County 3. I can't remember which one it is, but if they search that, they'll be able to find it.
Make sure you send us those links. We'll put it in the descriptions for YouTube videos.
Yeah, I can't remember what my webpage link is going to be, but I'm going to publish it pretty soon. And I guess like Jeff Tooele County 3, something like that.
Well, when you get it published, you can let us know. We can update stuff.
All right.
Later. Yeah, it's been a good interview. I like the cut of your jib. I like it. It's good. And
Medicare for all. No, just joking. But,
it'd be good to have some, not just Democrat, but it'd be good to have representation that is not, because right now, and I'm not trying to downplay the commissioners we have, but it does feel like they're kind of an old boy group. They're designated to be that commissioner from the onset, it feels like, and it'd be nice to have someone from the outside step in and someone not pulled into that position, but someone that earns it from the outside. It'd be good to see that.
I think we do have one Democrat in the commission, don't we?
I don't know.
He used to be a Democrat, but he became a Republican. Kendall, you mean?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ran as a Republican because a lot of people do straight party voting here.
Yeah.
So it's easier to run as a Republican.
I hope people, I would like to see people, well, first of all, I'd like to see people study and find out what's a Democrat, what's a Republican. And then I would like to see people forget about those and vote for the man or woman or
Yeah.
binary, whatever, but vote for them and not what party do they stand for. Because honestly, on such a small level, Republican and Democrat shouldn't matter, because this is where the rubber meets the road.
It's the easy way out, Jared. I mean, you know the theory of Republicans, you know the theory of Democrats, and it saves the people from doing their homework and doing their due diligence. And unfortunately, today, most people aren't involved in politics. Most people don't want to really research the politicians. And I think that's, if you're not really paying attention to what's going on in politics, I don't know, should you vote? Should you not participate if you're not willing to learn? I mean, it's like, do you want that brain surgeon to cut you open if you didn't really take the test?
Well, you're taking the argument back to 1815, before universal suffrage.
Yeah. We'll suffer more if we don't.
Back when only
attention.
landed men could vote. But
Well, I mean, the last election, I think, what did we get? 30% or 40% of the people voted? I can't
it
remember.
was like 42% voted. That's both sides. And that warms my heart to know that people are going, I'm turning my back on national elections. They don't matter. I'm hoping that the local elections still outweigh that, but we've found historically it's the opposite. That local elections are actually have less votes than national elections, because people seem to think that whatever person or party you put in that White House is all that matters. And that should be the least of your concerns. Because if you
You can affect more change on the local level, like city and county, than you can on the national level. By far.
Yep. And if you take the power back from the president, you can start forcing Congress to do its job and hold the president accountable. And then the state can force the Senate to do its job and ensure that only laws come from them. And that's how it's supposed to be. But now everyone's thrown their weight behind the president. So Congress is like, I'm not going to go against him, or Congress is like, I have to go against him because that's what my people want. Anyways, I like what you're saying, Jeff, and I'm gonna.
We have to take money out of politics too, right? That's my final thing. Money out of politics.
I don't know if you can or how you can. How would that be done? I don't know how that would be done. I mean, I like the idea because it'd be nice if everyone got one commercial. It got to play 7 times a day for a week, and that's all you got. And I didn't have to listen to, because TV's going to get unbearable at work. I don't watch TV at home, but at work when I'm on break, I like to watch TV. You know, The Price is Right, maybe a little Young and Restless on break time. And I'm tired of every commercial being a political commercial, because I want to know what the latest drug out is, and will it give me a erectile dysfunction or something? I don't care about their commercials because, yeah. Anyways,
it's a lot of campaigning. It is.
Yeah.
Too much.
I'd rather listen to the pharmaceutical companies lie to me than them. I don't know how you remove money from politics.
That'd be an interesting question to answer, Jeff. I won't lie. I'm always fascinated by people's ideas on what the proper and the fair way is to campaign, because it's a wild west out here in our world. I mean, geez. I mean, now political candidates can accept Bitcoin, so you don't know how much or where it's coming from. So it doesn't seem
you
like
never did know how much or where it was coming from.
Well, now you really don't know.
Yeah. What if we made it so that they had to do in-person stumping? You know, then make them show up, beg for a vote, make them earn the vote, and figure out what and where. I don't know. But anyways, Jeff, I like what you got going on, man.
Thanks for coming on and taking the time.
Yeah, and reach out if there's anything we can do to help, or you got anything coming up, let us know. We'll throw an advertisement out for it. We won't charge you for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when do you press this? When does it go on air or whatever, or on the internet?
Tomorrow night.
Okay. So you edit out all the bad parts, right? Or you just let it all go?
I'm just adding our music at the beginning. I don't edit.
Okay.
We like the bad parts.
Yeah. I'm not going to edit. I'm not going to do anything. Well, one, if I start editing, then it just starts looking shady, especially when we're talking to a guy running for office, you know. You could feel like
where you try to make him look bad or good or whatever.
No,
we'll Photoshop you. Don't worry, Jeff.
You stand on your own.
All right, good. Yeah, I got a face for radio, that's for sure. So yeah.
So do we. But yeah, it'll be up on YouTube. I'm gonna find you on Facebook and do all the friending and join your Jeff for Tooele 3. And add all those in the description. Then it goes up and it'll be up on iTunes and Stitcher, YouTube, all the normal places where you find conversation.
iHeartRadio. You go to iHeartRadio?
I think iHeartRadio will play through our Casto, so I'll have to check into that. But I think I don't know if we're on there. I'll see if Casto supports it. If not, I'll find it.
We are also on the ISO app for the iPhone, the podcast app. You just type in Tooele Happy Hour. You'll find us.
Cool. Yeah, I follow you on Facebook. So will you just have the show on your Facebook page or whatever?
We'll usually put a link up there. And the link we'll put up usually the YouTube link, I think. But we could add a link in for whatever your preferred catcher is.
And we'll throw it all over Facebook. I found a few political channels that I toy around with, and I'd like to throw in an advertisement for the podcast there whenever we have a new show. I think people are starting to really pay attention. They want a local politics show. They want to know what's going on in the county, and they deserve it. And that's one thing here in Tooele that we're probably not very good at is communication. So, I'm hoping we can do a service for community through this podcast in that kind of a form.
Well, it was fun. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're welcome back.
Never done this before, so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you're welcome back anytime. Maybe when the virus is gone, you can come down here to the studio, to the corner bedroom,
the quarantine,
and we'll make you up a virgin something, and while we drink,
have a good old root beer, right? Yeah. Diet root beer, or something.
A root beer, or
shaking that stern,
a virgin rum and Coke, or a Jack and Coke. Or
there you go, man.
But yeah, hey, thanks for coming on, Jeff. And I'll send this out to you. I'll send you a link.
You'll know, Jeff,
to put it up.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. And good luck with your classes. Right now you've got the chance spearhead something new.
Yeah, it's like being a pioneer, right? Education pioneer. So.
Yeah, right now you can do this like a YouTube live. You could even do Facebook lives with your students. You
can make a podcast and have them watch it or listen to it, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, you can jump on. There's no barrier to entry right now.
Check out Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. Maybe you can match something like that for ninth graders. My God, it's amazing what you can learn on YouTube for history nowadays. If we had YouTube back in our day.
That's where I learned how to work on my car is YouTube, trying to save some money, just watch somebody.
I think that's where everybody learns how to work on their cars. Have you ever listened to
later, guys?
Oh, he bailed. All right.
Well, all right. Well, thanks for listening to our show. That was pretty good.
So what do you think? I like the guy.
Well, best of luck to him. I don't know. It's I think it's going to be a rough election. A lot of people want this seat, or a seat. I don't know what the campaign trail is going to look like. I'm pretty fascinated by how everyone's transitioning their mentality to the new government. I'll be interested to see what, how Milne and Tripp and Kendall adjust to it, and and the executive, who's that going to be? How are they going to select it? There's a lot to see what happens in our future here in Tooele, aside from apocalyptic virus attacks from China. And I'm loving it. I think we're going to have a bright future. And I think no matter what happens, we're going to take lemons and make lemonade.
Well, I think regardless, we're moving forward. We're going to grow. You can't stop it. You can make mistakes in the way of slowing it down. You can do things like stifle business and things like that. And every time that's been done, it's regretful in the end. We'll just have to see. I mean,
business models are going to change after this, though. Look at Jeff here. He's a social studies teacher. He's forced to learn how to operate online, just like you were forced to do so to make.
I wasn't
podcasts.
Forced. I chose to. I mean, this is
okay. It was more voluntary.
Yeah, this is complete voluntary for me. This was a fun project that I took on.
Well, now it's transitioning to the involuntary.
Yeah,
and people have to catch up with technology. And then once they get comfortable with it, you're going to see transition. You're going to see a lot more telework from home. You're going to see a lot more online classes. People are going to say like, "Hey, why didn't I do this earlier?" Kind of like email.
I think we're gonna find a lot of that happening. We're gonna find I wonder what our pollution's gonna look like, say, a year from now, after the coronavirus passes, and maybe people have shown their business or shown themselves that they can complete their mission from home, and maybe their business says, you know what, we can just let them stay there and continue that. Maybe come in once a week and check in or something.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that'll lighten the load on the roads and gas usage and everything else.
Yeah, I think this will save polar bears.
This might be a nationwide change or worldwide change even. I mean, granted, I'll still have to go to my job all the time. Not have to. I'll still have the opportunity to stay at my job and continue to do it. But, maybe some other jobs will find a different mix.
A little happy medium. Yeah.
Like to see something happen. But anyways, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next week. We got a interview with
Chris Stewart's going to give us
Chris Stewart.
Yeah, he's going to give us a virus update.
We're gonna chat with our congressman and see what's going on. Thanks for joining us.